Welcome to this video on reading. In this video, you are going to learn how to read material effectively for comprehension, including steps to do that. You're also going to be presented with options for note-taking. You can determine which note-taking process might work best for you. Good reading is a very active mental process that moves you along in your knowledge of a topic. You go from books or background information like encyclopedias or other information sources to information that is in the knowledge bank of your mind. When you are reading for comprehension, that is deep reading, you are going to come away with an understanding of the passage's main points and follow-up points or subpoints, new knowledge in your mind, new facts, and even new questions about your topic. As you read multiple sources on a topic, you're eventually going to start to link together in your mind what is known about a topic. That is, you begin to synthesize information. What is the information between all of the sources that you have read? However, synthesis is further down the road. Let's talk about reading a single source. One method for reading comprehension is the SQ3R method. The S stands for survey. You want to look over the entire reading. You want to look at how it's organized, if there are chapters, if there are different sections, and get the overall layout. The Q are for questions, looking at those subsections, those titles. What questions do you think are going to be answered, and what do you see as possible additional questions? The three R's stand for read, recite, and review. In read, you are going to read the piece with your questions in your mind and see what is answered and see if any additional questions develop. Recite means that you are going to go over your answers. You can say them in your mind, you say them out loud, but you help them stick in your mind in a way that works best for you. And then review is the last R. This means that you can't just read and recite something one time and truly expect to remember the material. That's an impossible task for pretty much all of us. You need to come back to this material and study your notes and further recite and reflect. We're going to talk about those notes in a few minutes. Let's start with a single piece of reading. We have a scholarly article here. The first thing to do is the S of the SQ3R method. That is, we're going to survey the source and look it over. When you have a scholarly article, you can start with the title and the abstract to get a summary of what the paper is about. You can determine, is it an argument? Was it an experimental study? Is it a theory paper? And you can also flip through the sections, including the discussion section, the results section if it was a study, the introduction section. As you flip through the source or move through the source, you're going to see how those different sections are organized and roughly what's in them. If it sounds relevant, then you can move on to QR3, asking your questions, reading your source, reciting the information from your source, and reviewing the source. If you have a book, what is the main premise of that book? If you have a physical book, you can look at the back cover of the book or the book jacket to get an idea of that. If it's an online book, you can look at the description. You want to look at the book chapters. What are they going to cover? Do they have beginning abstracts or introductory sections that can give you an idea of the information you're going to find in each chapter or section? If so, reading through these can help you get a framework for the information in detail you're going to encounter. You can only focus on reading the parts of the book that seem relevant to your research question and not reading other sections, but you do need to make sure the sections that you're reading fully. In ebooks, you can use Control F to navigate to see where a given keyword falls, but that cannot replace reading, as it cannot alone help you understand the context of a topic, of where and how that keyword is being used. Once you look through these beginning sections, you can start to determine what questions that are going to be answered and questions that you have. Then it's time for your 3 R's. You need to read the material. You can recite the source to yourself as you take notes in your mind out loud. And then it's very important to do the 3rd R, review the content. According to Victor Shaw, reading skills and understanding theories, information, and concepts in a discipline are in a reinforcing cycle with one another. So, the more you read the material effectively, the better you're going to understand the material of the discipline. And the more understanding of the material you have, the easier time you are going to have reading your sources. To read effectively, you're going to want to develop a note-taking system. Yours might be very similar to someone else's, or you may develop a unique one that works for you. Unless you have any kind of research log for an assignment where you have to format notes a certain way, and this is the exception rather than the rule, however you take notes on a source that allows you to learn from the source is okay. You may decide to take notes electronically, have your notes inside of a word processing system like Microsoft Word or Google Docs that allows you to create lists or write paragraphs, and that's fine. You may also prefer printing out articles or having your own copies of books where you can, and putting inside sticky notes, highlighting, underlining on the source, check marking, writing physical notes on the sides of the document, on the margins. And again, that's okay. You may develop your own complete system with your own unique symbols that only you understand. And again, if it helps you learn and take in the source, that's completely fine. Here are some question prompts for you anytime that you are reading material. What sentences seem like they are summarizing the thesis or important subpoints made in the work? What sentences seem like they are supportive of the thesis? What is fundamental knowledge that helps you understand the topic? It might help you see the whole picture, set off a light bulb in your mind, might help you identify keywords for further research. What sentences disagree with points made in the work or evaluate them? What sentences change completely how you think about the topic? These are those light bulb moments or those paradigm shift moments or moments that help you connect several ideas within the discipline. And last but not least, what information in that article actually helps you answer your research questions? In this video, we discussed why reading material deeply matters. We discussed how to actually read more deeply with the SQ3R method of reading. And we also briefly discussed options for note-taking, why and how note-taking is very important. If you would like to do further reading on the topic of reading, here are a few sources.